You have to love the brutal level of commitment to the bit that you have to have in order to put a full shopping montage in a horror film.
Get killed, all right?
What was...
Why would he say that?
Have you ever seen a parody film that surpasses the original? Yes, in fact I have. They're quite common and usually happen when the parody respects the original type of films that it's making fun of. And that way, it's kind of laughing with those films instead of at them. And that is normally the defining difference between parody and trashy parody. You know, like epic movie, disaster movie, yeah. Whereas my favorite film of all time is The Princess Bride, and that does a very similar thing for those old swashbuckling movies. This is not The Princess Bride, but it does respect all of the genres it's kind of making fun of, and therefore is just so much better than it has any right to be. Hearteyes stars Olivia Holt, who I've only seen in Totally Killers, so she is a modern-day comedic scream queen. And Mason Gooding, who I've only seen in the new Scream films, so he is a modern-day David Arquette, who I've also only really know from the Scream films, basically. He was in Eight-Legged Freaks, that wasn't very good. So yeah, anyway, they're two co-workers, they fall for each other even though they're not really together, and then get mistaken for a couple by the Hearteyes killer, who's been moving from city to city and kills just a bunch of couples each year on Valentine's Day and then moves on. And it really is interesting how many of the things here are convoluted and crazy and nuts and should not work at all, and yet most of those things either I can kind of get over because, you know, it kind of works within the bounds of the story, or B, I just don't care about that much because this is so outrageously funny and silly that it gets away with quite a bit of nonsense. Try to ignore how much Olivia Holt's character is, just an asshole in the first act. Try to ignore the shopping montage. And then begin to understand by the time you get to the hilarious misunderstanding first kiss that is happening because she has to save face in front of her ex. That this is going to be a full-on actual romance film with all of the tropes. It just also happens to be a slasher. And that is one thing that stuns me about this. I thought this was going to be so much more interested in just being a horror movie and just throwing in romantic elements, which is very much what, like, My Bloody Valentine is. And that's just a useless, you know, or Black Christmas. Classic, the original Black Christmas. Not the remakes. None of the remakes, God. But the original was very much, oh, it's Christmas time, slasher. Like Die Hard. People call Die Hard not really a Christmas movie because it's set at Christmas, but it's not actually very Christmassy. It is an action film, just happens to be set at Christmas. This is actually a romance film as well as a slasher movie, which is nuts. For goodness sake, they have the deep, like, in-depth conversation, emotional talk about their backgrounds and history in the second act of the film while they are hiding from the killer in a van at a drive-in movie while there is a couple loudly having sex behind them. It's just, that scene perfectly represents to me, here's a romance movie trope going on while they are hiding from a serial killer in a horror movie, while this hilarious thing is just happening behind them. And it's gorgeous. Honestly, it is an incredible thing to watch how they have crafted all of these pieces together. And then they use the kind of three main genres there, all for their own things separately within the film. And it feels like they just seamlessly blend instead of having to have, like, oh, this scene's horror, and then this scene's romance, and then this scene's comedy. And it's so well done. I'm really hoping we don't get a sequel to this, because they kind of tease that there could be one near the end, then they just reveal it's like a joke, really. And it would be very upset. It would just ruin that a bit. It's like the end of 22 Jump Street, when they do, like, the 23 Jump Street, 24 Jump Street, like, all the jokes up to, like, 37. And then they never made a sequel. But if they had, it'd be kind of like, ugh, that would ruin the bit. And I love that the fact, this is very much a good film to go and watch right now in cinema, whether you are with someone or not. Because if you're single and you're angry that it's Valentine's Day and all that, you can just kind of go and enjoy the couples, really annoying couples, especially in the opening scene, that couple just getting absolutely brutalized and murdered. And if you're with someone, you can enjoy all the romantic elements, while also enjoying the annoying couples getting brutally murdered. You're still going to enjoy that, it's great. So I'm giving the Hallmark Channel Presents Scream 4 stars. Come on, when the killer's, like, chasing them down, they fall down on top of each other in that, like, awkward romantic moment, and then they look at them and they're like, we're not a couple! Like, it's just so well crafted, it's just so funny. It's got so many great, hilarious moments, and good moments of, like, action and horror and romance. And how does it blend all those together? I don't know, but it nails it. So, it's the kind of slasher intelligence level we actually deserve. Subscribe for more hard truths.